everyone. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of The Journey Inward. And a very happy new year to everybody listening. Before I bring in my very special co-host here, I just want to say that it's really great to see so many people having such a wonderful debate on the podcasts on our Facebook page, on the Mindset page. And thank you very much for everybody for participating and voicing an opinion. That's exactly what we would love you to do a bit more of. And without further delay, Gareth, welcome. Happy New Year. How are you?
Happy New Year, Venerina. How are you doing? I'm doing good, by the way.
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, feeling like 100 years old again instead of 1 year older almost.
A few episodes ago, we talked about time, tick-tock, tick-tock. We keep moving forward towards that end of the road. What a happy thought.
Yeah, the coffin, I think it's called.
Yeah. What a wonderful thought. Don't worry, it'll all be over. It'll all be over soon. So,
aren't we such optimists today? And talking of optimism, that is going to be one of the subjects of today's discussion. And before we go any further, though, I'm going to read something, and then we can have some thoughts on it. What do you say?
I say that's a great idea.
Perfect. So, fate has a funny way of working. Things happen, some good, some bad, but it's human nature to rejoice at the good, and despair at the bad. We fail to recognize that bad is actually a good thing for us, that it teaches us, it protects us from taking a path that may not be our calling. It guides us. The only difference between someone who appears to have all the luck and one who doesn't is all a matter of choice, and the choice is made along the way. We can all choose to either let the bad get the better of us and then give up, or we can press on through any storm and allow the bad to make us stronger, more determined, more committed, wiser, more alive than ever. None of us can escape fate, but what we can do to a degree is shape it by reading the right signposts and recognizing opportunities that come our way and not letting depression get the better of us. What are your thoughts on that one, Gareth?
Well, Venerina, on this show, a lot of the time I do play devil's advocate. So, I mean, I'm going to be a little confrontational, which may or may not be my actual real belief system. But does fate even exist? I mean, isn't this just pie in the sky fantasy wishful thinking, that there's some plan for us?
Well, I think it's a bit of a controversial topic, and I was hoping that we would actually get into it because there are several schools of thought, aren't there? There are those who are pro-fate, that everything is predestined and that we have no choice, no say in the matter. And there are those who think that fate is kind of predetermined, but not so determined. In other words, that we have an input as to where we're going. And then there are those who say, no, it doesn't exist, that everything that happens is what we create. And, it's just our own doing, really. I'm more of the belief that it's kind of in the middle.
Okay.
That there is something planned for us. Specifically what, I'm not sure. Everybody's plan will probably be different. But I think there is the element of predestined plus our choices. And if we're going to get spiritual about it, I actually believe that the predestined plan that we have is something that we've brought with us throughout our lifetimes, if you believe in reincarnation, of course.
Okay.
It's a path that we keep mapping life after life after life based on the goals that we have in each lifetime and based on the lessons that we've learned in each lifetime.
But why is it important to even learn these lessons?
Well, I think it's this is just my personal opinion, but I believe it's very, very important to learn lessons for the spirit to develop. If it's true that we all come from one spiritual entity, then our knowledge, the lessons that we learn, could actually be what's feeding this energy source, the spiritual source that we come from. If we don't learn anything, I don't think that we develop as people, do we? We we don't become more compassionate if we don't know what compassion is or how to show compassion, do we?
Well, it is true. I mean, I think Oscar Wilde once said that youth is wasted on the young. And it is true that as you get older, things become more clear to you, right? You start to see things clearly. You know, when you're 18 and 19, the world is just, I mean, you think you know it all, but, in reality, you don't know anything. I remember when I was 20 years old, I thought I knew everything. I'd speak to people and you're out of your mind. Get out of here. You're mental case, right? But as I got older and you start to see, you start to realize how wrong and silly you were. So with maturity does come more awareness, right? You become more aware. You do become more compassionate, and you do grow from your mistakes. I think the point you made earlier about bad things happening to you are in a lot of ways better than good things happening to you.
I think they're the only good things that happen, actually. Yeah. You saying about devil's advocate, people are going to probably think, what's she on? But no, I believe that the bad things that happen to us are the only good things that happen to us. Because while the good's going on, we're all going along, la, 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 we're all happy. It's all, smelling of roses. There's great sunshine. We're on the beach. We're just lying there. We're doing absolutely nothing. We're not being challenged by anything. We're not being motivated by anything. We're just static, aren't we? I mean, have you ever had one of those beautiful days where everything is just so perfect? I mean, so perfect.
No, never. I'm kidding.
Never? Then you've had a good life, Gareth. But yeah, the listeners out there might have experienced this. It's a perfect day. Everything's going well. Everything's perfect. Everything, and you get to the end of the day and you think, "Wow, what a perfect day!" And when you really think about it, you think nothing happened.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, did I learn anything today? No.
Well, you see, sometimes though, you'll be faced with adversity. You'll be faced with a challenge, and you'll have to get involved, and you won't learn anything because the lesson is there for you to learn, but you either don't see it or you do but ignore it.
That's also a possibility. That is also a very big possibility.
So it's and you only recognize those moments, I think, when either something really big happens to you and you kind of contemplate what took place, or as you get older, you tend to recognize the learning potential easier. Difficult question, that one, because there are a lot of people, I would say, that actually do grow older but still don't recognize. Well, it's all maturity too. I mean, there's a lot of 20-year-olds that are acting like they're 50, and vice versa. Right?
Yeah.
So it's not. So age is, there's physical age and there's mental age, right? I mean, some people are physically very young but mentally very old, and the opposite is also true.
Yes, indeed. But I think one of the most important things is people see bad things a lot of the time as a bad thing, don't they? They're going for a job interview, the car breaks down, starts raining. Can't get to the place, 200 miles away. They're late. They can't get there, and when they eventually get there, they find the audition was either cancelled or, the person who was going to interview them decided that the job was filled 2 months ago.
Right.
All these things, could be signs, and the person is despairing because, the car breaks down, they're already despairing. It starts checking down with the rain, they think their luck's really, really, really bad. They get there, and it's all postponed, and they think they've been condemned to bad luck, but it's not bad luck. A, the car could have broken down to stop you from going to the interview because there was going to be no interview, so it's trying to save you the trouble. B, it rained, maybe as a sign, that you weren't supposed to go there. And, maybe you didn't get the job. Okay, fine. So you're now at a point where you're really depressed because you didn't get the job, because you were late, because the car broke down, and because it rained. But A month down the line, there might be a great job interview. Somebody casually drops in a conversation. Oh, I heard so-and-so was looking for somebody over there. Yeah, I know the brother of the sister of the mother of the uncle. Perhaps if you talk to the sister of the mother of the brother, you might have a chance of getting the job. And they might just think, oh, after the last disaster, better not bother. And yet that could be... the sign that the person's waiting for, that maybe that is the spectacular opportunity, that they're supposed to go for and supposed to take. But because they've let depression get the better of them.
But what do you mean by, like, signs and stuff? What do you mean signs? Oh, it's raining, I better not go. To me that sounds like, you're out of your mind.
Yeah, no, raining, just because it's raining is not a sign not to go.
No, but I'm exaggerating a little bit there. But you know what I mean? People see signs everywhere, like don't step on the cracks in the pavement. Look, the sparrow flew east, that means this, and whatever, blah, 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 blah.
That's more superstition, though.
But you know what? But it's you're right, it is more superstition, but it's on the same kind of path.
Maybe not. That I need more thought on that one, I think. But there's a big difference, I think, between superstition. Oh my God, go round the cat because the black cat can't go in front of the car,
right,
or walk in front of you, because it's going to be bad luck. I don't take those. I take those more as old wives' tales. It's happened one day. A cat went in front. A black cat ran across, the road in front of somebody. They went home and they had this situation we're talking about now. A little bit of bad luck, which is not bad luck. Something bad happened. They said that black cats are bad.
Right.
Let's condemn the black cats. Shoot a lot of them. Yeah.
And then it's just next thing you know, everyone's talking about the black cats. So
yeah. It's like you're not supposed to cut your toenails, are you, on a Sunday? Because that's bad luck as well.
Oh,
I mean, come on, who dreamt that one up?
Yeah, I'd never heard that one before.
Yeah. There's loads of them.
Wow.
You're not supposed to wash your hair with a full moon or something.
Really? Are you serious?
Yeah.
I guess I've led a very sheltered life. This is all news to me.
Yeah, well, it comes from growing up in a very Catholic, traditional, really traditional Catholic country where superstitions abound,
Yeah, wow.
And then there are certain days that you don't do something because you get the wrath of God, because it's a sacred day, Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about fate then. Fate.
Well, going back to signs, wrap up the signs issue. Signs for me are things that if you're trying to swim in the sea, okay, and all of a sudden the tide comes in, a wave comes along, but it's, and it's really difficult to swim, and another one, and you're still not turning back, and another one, and you still won't turn back, and by the time you get out to where you're going to, you've got no energy left to swim back ashore. So for me, the signs are, if you're going against the current, if everything is going against the way you're going, then perhaps you're not going the right way, and perhaps you're not seeing the signs to tell you to turn another way.
I see. So basically, don't fight the universe because you'll lose.
Well, yeah, don't go against the current because you're going to lose. But then you're not losing, are you? This is what we're saying. Instead of seeing it as losing, you're not winning, because to win, you need to be going in the right direction, don't you?
Right.
And so what the universe is telling you is that you need to change course.
Okay. So I'm really trying to get my head around this, because some of this stuff makes a lot of sense to me, and some of it does not. Not even close. It sounds just like, nonsense. Right? So, why are you laughing?
I just love the way you said that. Nonsense.
Well, it does. I mean, it's not, the universe is conspiring against you. It's like the universe cares about you. I mean, who are you?
Well, Gareth, this is where we come back to a discussion that is my favourite topic, and I promise we will do a show on it,
okay,
but I need to do more research, and that is the consciousness of the universe. Of course the universe cares about you because your consciousness is a part of the universe. So what you put out into the universe is what you're going to get back from the universe. It's what you give to other people in the universe. It's what other people give to you in the universe. You know, this universe, this cosmos that we talk about, the atmosphere, the air we breathe, it's all atoms. All day long, you're breathing in and out. I'm breathing in and out. It won't be long before your breath reaches me from across the Atlantic here in Spain, because there's only so much air and space and room for us all to, you know, exchange atoms in, exchange energy. So, yeah, of course the universe cares about you. And it cares about every single person in it.
Okay.
Because even your thought process, your thought patterns, your thought process, the firing, just firing to have a thought, all that is being projected into this universe.
Right. So right now I'm at a crossroads, because I'm thinking whether or not I should really go down the path and be very, very, very devil's advocate, or whether I should kind of bite my tongue and be nice.
No, don't do that. People wouldn't recognize you. They think you'd been alien snatched. No, let's have the devil's advocate. The devil's advocate.
Do you really want that, though?
Oh, yeah, go on.
Okay. Now, I should say that this may or may not be what I really believe. Okay. But I think controversy, especially on shows like this, is good, because when you question these things, you'll kind of find out what you really believe. Because if you're like, oh, yeah, this is true. Why? Well, it's because, I don't know. Right?
Absolutely. And we want people to think about what they believe. We don't want them to follow us or believe anything we say, really, do we?
So you should question everything. Why do I believe this? Why? Why do I think this? Is it because I heard it someplace? Did I come up with it myself? You know, what's really going on here? So, I mean, you know, I question a lot of stuff. I think about a lot of stuff, you know, which is what Mindset Central is all about, you know, which is why I created it, was because to have this kind of outlet for these thoughts that I have. So I think it's very healthy to question everything. Don't just accept everything at face value. Oh, yeah, that's true. Why? Well, it's because, I don't know, right? So even though I might ask a lot of questions here, which might get you to a point where like, well, I don't know, it's because of the way it is. I'm doing it for a reason. And I may or may not actually in reality really agree with you. But maybe you or the listeners will figure that out as we go along. So you mentioned atoms a minute ago.
Yes.
How do we know that there are such things as atoms?
We don't, but we do.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm only giving my perspective.
Sure.
The only reason I believe in atoms and energy is because of practicing Reiki and Qigong medicine, which is, Qigong medicine is a form of healing through manipulation of energy. It's kind of one step beyond Reiki, but very different in some ways. Now, people can try this at home. If you put your hands just a little, not together, but not too far apart either, so that you have your palms kind of close to one another, but not touching. If you just move your hands very slightly in a circular motion, okay, and focus on your hands and your energy flowing through your body, you can feel this energy. You can feel heat generating. You can feel what I would determine as the atoms. I mean, I don't know if they're called atoms. Okay. We don't, they've only been called atoms if they have by some scientist somewhere. We don't really know what they're called. And like you said, we don't really know if they exist, but something does exist.
No, we absolutely do know that atoms exist. That's not a speculation. That is an absolute concrete fact.
Yes, they can actually isolate them now as well.
It's completely...
We know that.
Apples. I got too many computers around here. But atoms absolutely do exist. There's no question. Everything else you've just mentioned, a lot of questions there.
Well, who says atoms exist?
What do you mean?
Well, Well, come on. It was only a scientist, right?
All right, a scientist.
Who decided to call a particle an atom.
Well, are you talking about the actual name of the atom or the actual thing?
Well, this is the thing. You see, we're getting into very dodgy territory here because nothing really exists.
Where atoms are concerned, we're not.
No. What I'm saying is nothing really exists.
Well,
it only exists because we've given it a name.
Well, we could go.
A label.
Okay, so you want to go that route? Okay, I can go that route if you want. That's fine.
I'm just saying that everything that seems to be reality is in fact not really real. It doesn't really exist.
Okay. The point I'm trying to make, as far as atoms, is that through experimentation, it has been proven that they exist. Okay, through the scientific method. Okay, they're proven to be real. Right. Everything else, there's no proof involved. It's all belief. And that belief may or may not be accurate. That's all I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Right? Because you're talking about the Reiki and, that's a belief system. And for all I know, that may be 100% on the money. Or it might just be pure fantasy.
Well, no, it's not really a belief system, and it has been proven to exist. This exchange of energy. There was a Chinese man that could actually, with his hands, he could heal illnesses and do surgeries and things without actually physically touching anybody, and a group of scientists followed him and studied it, and there was a video on YouTube. So it's not really a belief system. It's something that's been scientifically proven to work, but how it works is the mystery still, I guess.
Okay. I'm biting my tongue here, by the way. Let's move on, because this could get ugly. I absolutely don't agree with what you said right there.
Well, then say what you think.
Because when you talk about mysticism, science doesn't even begin to knock on the door and open it and say, hello, I'm science. And hey, hi, I'm mysticism. Come on in. It ain't happening. All right? It's not happening. Not even for a second.
So why is Reiki mysticism?
Because when you say that science has proved that it works, but they don't know how to work, that's just mumbo jumbo.
Well, they know it's energy transference from one person to another.
How can you even prove that? That's nonsense.
Because they use something like...
that's nonsense. Now, that's not to say that what you're saying isn't true, because it very well might be. But when you bring in science, then it's like, come on, please. That's all. Mm-hmm. I mean, what you're saying might be completely accurate. I have no idea. But when you mention they've scientifically proven that's nonsense. There's no way.
Yeah. And yet the Chinese believe it, the Chinese use it as their medical system.
Right. Yeah,
or as a form of medicine, of healing.
Whether or not it works, I have no idea. It might completely work, right? It might be very, very, work totally. But when you start saying science has proven this, and then that's pie in the sky nonsense. There's no way that any scientist would even go down that path, because there's no way that there's no scientific apparatus that you can prove that thing is real, because it's all speculation.
No, they used something like a voltage recorder or an I can't remember what it's called.
So what is that proving? That there's a voltage?
It proves the amount of energy transferred from one person to another. At what voltage it's going. I need to dig that video up. I'll try and find that video and send you the link. Okay. And then we can post the link for the listeners as well.
All right. Hey, I hope the listeners are enjoying a little bit of controversy on the Journey Inward today.
And if you're not, it's tough.
Yeah. So let's get back to fate. And how that all works. And fate, I think, has a lot to do with feelings. Don't you agree? You feel something. when you're doing something, well, this is right. I should be doing this. Or, yeah, you need to take care of this. This needs to be done. And you're feeling, no, maybe I shouldn't be doing this.
Is that fate, or is that just choices of the moment?
It could be either. It's a little bit like when you are pursuing a certain career. Let me put this with you, right? You're a professional singer, right? That's something you've been drawn to probably since you were a little kid, right? It's a part of you. You feel it. You feel that this is the right thing to do.
Well, actually, this is why I say that good things or bad things happen, maybe to put us back on a path that we're supposed to be on. I don't know if you know, but when I moved to Spain last year in February, I actually quit singing. Personal reasons.
Okay.
But throughout the year, I may have distanced myself from music, but music has been biting me on the rear end
to go back
the whole year through until I actually got back, or until I've got back on the path. Now, everything I've tried to do in Spain has kind of turned out good and then gone bad. Everything. Except for now, where I'm getting back into music and I'm going back to singing again.
Okay.
And all the doors have opened.
Right.
It's suddenly, everything is kind of like happening. I'm getting the meetings with the managers. People are suddenly available. I'm meeting people who are putting me in contact with people through other people.
Yeah.
It's all this kind of connecting things that are all coming together that just make me sit down and think, wow, all the times I tried to, to do this, to do that, to do the other. And it went great for a while. And then all of a sudden, all the doors closed. And I'm thinking, what the heck is happening, But instead of letting it get me down, I was just kind of like, okay, well, open my mind to anything that comes along, anything that happens, and just let it go. And everything that's happened has brought me back to this path of music.
Yeah, it's as if, you've been in music since you were a kid. The feeling is very strong inside you. It's like a magnet that's pulling you towards it all the time. Now, let's just say that, a couple of years ago, you thought, oh, you know what, I'm going to try accounting. And you started working as an accountant. How would you feel?
Well, I did change profession, didn't I? A few years ago, I started working as a holistic health therapist. And that's what I've been concentrating on ever since.
But that's not because that's also a part of your calling too, right? That's also a part of you're attracted to that also, right? So that's not too far removed from who you are. But the point I'm trying to get is if you went to do something that was completely, night and day from who you feel you really are. Now, it's not to say that you couldn't do it or even do it really well, but the feeling you'd have inside wouldn't sit well. You know what? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
And you'd feel like, even though I'm doing this job and I'm actually doing pretty good at it, you're. Is it 5 o'clock yet? I got to get out of here. I'm going to lose my mind. This is insane. Whereas when you're doing what you're meant to do, you could do it 24 hours a day.
Sometimes.
No, but you know what I mean? Yeah. But it's like, see, I'm going to make a leap here, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you would be doing music of some kind whether you're getting paid for it or not. Am I right?
Yes.
Right. So that's you.
Mm.
You wouldn't be doing accounting whether or not you'd be paid for it.
Not if you didn't love it, no.
Exactly, right? You wouldn't be like, oh, I'm going to fire up Excel and just crunch some numbers right now, just for fun. No, that's not going to happen, right?
Well, there might be some people out there that would do it.
Well, I'm sure there are. I'm sure there's a lot of people that, they get a lot of immense pleasure from that. But, doing something like that, that I would consider work, right? I would consider doing something like that work, because you're doing something that's not aligned with who you are, and it's something that you don't really want to do, but either you have to do it, or or you're doing it for the money, right? So that's work. For me, if I'm doing something that I enjoy doing, regardless of whether it's digging a ditch or whatever, if you're enjoying it, it's not work. Now, someone watching you do it might think, "Oh man, look at that guy! He's working his ass off." But to you, it's not work, because you're enjoying it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But then that's called following your heart, isn't it? Following your heart's passion, or doing what you love most in life.
But isn't that fate?
How many people give up at the first stumbling block?
Oh, lots of people. But isn't that fate, though? Isn't that fate? You're in a calling. This is what you should be doing. This is where you should be. This is how you should be living. Isn't that fate?
If we're going to believe, like I do, that there is a midway, then yes, I would say it's probably to do with fate. But then, like I said, more than just an abstract concept of fate, I think it's something that we've been putting out into the universe since we were, since we first appeared on this planet, going back to the time of Atlantis, some of us. I think there is, when we're children even, I think we have this notion, don't we? When people say to you, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" I never knew.
A fireman.
I never knew. I never had an answer, But the one thing that I would say is I just want to make people happy.
Well, you know what? Let me just get a little story here. And this is I don't know whether this is a true story or not, but it's attributed to John Lennon. But whether or not he actually said that, I don't know. But it's a great story. And he when he was a kid at school, he had to write an essay. What do you want to be when you grow up? And that was for the class. The teacher said to the class, "Okay, kids, today I want you to write a story. What do you want to be when you grow up?" All the kids were like, "I want to be a policeman. I want to be a fireman. I want to be an astronaut. I want to be, whatever." They're writing all their crazy stuff. And when he turned in his paper, all his paper says is, "I want to be happy." And the teacher said, "Well, what the hell is this?" Well, she didn't, she didn't say what the hell is this. She was like, "What is this? She said, you don't understand the assignment." And Lennon said, "No, you don't understand life."
That's so true, though, isn't it? That's all that anybody wants, isn't it, in life? To be happy, to be loved, to love. Right. But, in my case, it wasn't me to be happy. It was just to make other people happy. And that was my answer when I was a kid. But what I'm saying is, along the way, though, I mean, especially in my profession as a professional singer, you get knocked down so badly and so many times. Yeah. You'll go to an agency that won't take you on. You'll go to, you'll talk to a manager who promises you the earth, and have you hanging on every single word but never deliver anything. You'll go to an audition and be turned down. And the thing is, I've watched it so many times. A lot of people with talent, very good people, they walk away from the profession because, you get knocked once, you get knocked twice. And it's kind of like, okay, then I really suck at this. And no, it's not you. And the reason you get turned down, it's taken me a lot of years to understand this, is because the face just doesn't fit at the time that you're there. Right. They're looking for a specific type, a specific whatever. And every profession is the same. It's not because you can't get into your calling because there are some people that don't have enough qualifications or whatever to do whatever they want to do. But, that's a barrier they can overcome. But the point is, to not let the bad things or the negative things stop you in your tracks. It's
like when for job interviews. I mean, I've been on both sides of the desk, hiring people and trying to get hired. And it's when you go for an interview, the person who's interviewing you, they want to like you. They want to give you the job. They want to hire you. But before you even walk in the door, in their head, they have a preconceived image of the person that they want to fill the job. And the closer you come to their preconceived image in their head, the more likely it is for you to get the job. I mean,
yeah, of course.
That's pretty much it. They in their head they have this person, this image of this person that they want to work at wherever. And when somebody comes in, the closer they are to that image in their head, that's who gets the job. You know?
Yeah, completely agree with you. Completely agree with you. And people like people who they find similar to themselves as well.
Sure.
So, if they can't see something in there that they connect with, then they don't think you're going to make a good
absolutely.
team member, for example, because you don't click with them.
When I was hiring people, I would always ask myself two questions when I would meet the person and, ask them the same nonsense questions that everyone gets asked in interviews. I would ask myself two questions. I would say, do I think that this person can do the job? And do I want to work with them? And I would only hire them if I answered yes to both of those questions. Because I've met many people where I'm like, would I like to work with them? Yeah. This guy's awesome. We get along really good. Can he do the job? No. So I'm not going to hire him. Or, can that guy do the job? Absolutely. This guy will be awesome. Do I want to work with him? No. He's an asshole. He drives me mental. I've met him for 3 seconds already. I want to kill him. So I won't hire him. Right? You got to answer yes. Yeah. Yes to both of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you can hear the dog yapping outside, but he agreed as well. Yeah.
Very good. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So if fate is your calling, and when you pursue your calling, the universe kind of gets in line and helps you get to where you should be, let me try and rephrase this better. Our calling, where does that come from?
Well, this is the thing that I was saying to you that I think in my humble opinion, spans across various lifetimes. And I think it's based on what we've learnt, even though we don't remember previous lives, even though we don't remember what we learnt in the past, maybe, or maybe we do to a certain point. I think it comes from there. I think it comes from the desires we have on a lifetime scale. Like mine as a child was just to make people happy. Well, the next question was, well, how am I going to do that? Mm. And so then as a child, I'd look at these posters on the wall, of these famous singers, and I go, yeah, I think I'm going to be a singer, because that's the only way I can travel the world and make people happy. Right. There are loads of other ways to do it, but that was even though I couldn't sing and I was tone deaf, that was my way of doing it, okay. But you could say, well, where does that come from? Well, maybe in a previous life, I don't know, I was somebody that watched a singer and got inspired by a singer.
Who was that singer, by the way?
In a previous life, I don't know. Depends which era we're talking about.
What about in this life? When you were a little kid and you're watching TV and some singer came on and you were like, oh, wow.
I used to be in love with Elvis.
Elvis.
Yeah, I did. Don't laugh.
No, Elvis was cool.
I was, yeah. My dad, when he was young, he looked like Elvis. I think that's probably why I loved Elvis so much. Ah. Yeah.
There you go.
But yeah, I don't think I was... I'm not sure really who did inspire me as a child. I had no particular preferences for singers as a child, of course.
Okay.
So the singing thing, I don't know where it came from. But already at 7, I'd stand up, and my dad was a hotel manager, and I'd stand up in the hotel and I'd sing with the band.
Right.
At 7. So it wasn't something that came from this lifetime, because, at 7 years old, what do you know?
Right. I mean, it's very.
So,
I mean, you learn more. I mean, this show is even called The Journey Inward, and I think that's where you learn most of your wisdom in life is looking inward, not looking outside yourself for some pie in the sky, whatever, but looking inward, looking. Well, why am I like this? Why do I feel this way? Why is it in a certain situation I always act this way? And you look inward, and that's where you really start to learn, not only about yourself, but reality in general, right?
about everything.
Yeah, about everything is digging inside yourself to find out what makes you tick. And that also gives you insight into how other people function also, right?
Yes.
And
yes, of course.
I mean, I have a very strong desire for truth, justice, fairness, honesty, all of those kind of, utopian kind of ideals. It's very strong in me. And I don't know why. I didn't particularly have an upbringing where those values were like rammed down my throat, not even close. I mean, my parents were like, just honest, regular people, but they weren't like, political animals and saying, and saying, about the right and the wrong and the this and the that. It was just me, and I've often, where does that come from? Do
you like philosophy?
I do. Yeah. I love it.
Perhaps you were a follower of Plato in a previous life.
Well,
or Aristotle, who says that you didn't exist in ancient Greek times and that you weren't a follower of one of these schools of thought.
Yeah.
A philosopher.
There you go.
Just throwing it out there.
Well, I mean, who knows, right? I mean, it's speculation. May or may not be true. Who knows? But
I don't think we'll ever know, will we? I mean, we're never going to ever have the answers. The only answers we're ever going to have are the ones we give ourselves, because nobody's going to tell us whether reincarnation exists or not, even though, I'm a great believer in it, but that's my humble opinion. That's because I actually, did you get a chance to read the article I sent you about reincarnation?
I have it on my desk right now.
And tell me, what did you think about it?
Well, I didn't read it. I have it on my desk.
Oh. Okay. Please scrap the last question.
We did touch on it at a previous show, I believe.
Well, we did. That's why I was interested to see what you thought about the article, but never mind. No, we're never going to have concrete answers, are we? Not even when we die. I mean, even if we do come back the next life, we're not going to remember this life. Yeah, nobody's going to give us answers to any of the questions. The only answers that we are going to know are truth or not will probably be the ones that just sit with us inwardly, what we believe is a truth. Or
as far as reincarnation, I would like to do a future show on that and really dig into it, if that would be possible, and we could really, really get into the whole concept and the function and the whys and the whats.
I think that would be brilliant, yeah.
So let's put reincarnation on the back burner and let's talk a little bit about fate, even though the two might be kind of related or at least overlap a little bit. So we've talked about our internal desire, our internal who we really are, about being in a situation where that it's right. This is what I should be doing. This is where I should be. And the reason I bring that up is because something like that happened to me when I moved to the United States. Because I moved over here on my own, right? I didn't have any family or friends or anything. It was just me. And, I remember talking to friends and family in the UK, and they were like, man, you must be out of your mind. To leave everything behind and go to a foreign country and start over and, And to me, it wasn't a big deal because it wasn't even scary at all because it felt so right. There wasn't an ounce of like, maybe I shouldn't do this. Or it was just like, yeah, this is what I have to do. And it felt 100% this is where I should be. There was no doubt, no speculation. It was just like, let's go.
Yeah.
You know? It was where I should be, where I felt like I should be. And it just happened, you know? And
so do you think it was fate?
Well, when you put it in those terms, I mean, you can place it into that, right? And if you put it in the whole the fate scenario, it fits it. It makes sense, you know.
But don't you think it's kind of like a 50-50? It's partly fate and partly you that made the right choices to make it happen?
Well, you could say that, but it was as if when it was happening to me, it was as if
you were being drawn to it.
There wasn't a choice involved. I mean, there was never a moment where I was sitting there, you know, debating, well, should I do this? Oh, there was never a choice. You know, it's like waking up in the morning. You know, you don't have a choice whether or not you want to wake up. You're going to wake up. And
one would hope.
Well, yeah, but you know what I mean. It's or breathing. You know, you're going to breathe.
Yeah,
and that's the way it felt for me. There was no choice. It was just this is what's happening.
Yeah,
you know. So I don't know. Could it be fate?
But you had to buy the ticket to get on the plane to go to America, so you still had a certain amount of
it fell into my lap one day. I was just I was sitting on a park bench, and it just fell out of the sky onto my lap. And it said, "Here's the ticket."
Don't tell me it was a magic pelican.
Yeah, it just appeared. No, of course, yeah. Obviously, I had to buy the ticket and do all that.
So you still had a certain amount of involvement,
right?
Even if you just picked it out of the pelican's beak.
Sure. Of course, yeah. I mean, I was involved. I was a willing participant in the events, of course. But there was never a moment of doubt or questioning or should I do this? I don't know. There was none of that ever.
Mm-hmm. And I bet everything just fell into place.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything. It just there was no friction. There was no bumps in the road. There was no issues. It was smooth as silk. Just worked.
Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much what I mean by when I say that people shouldn't try and go against the current. It's when you start having these ideas, you know, these great ideas, and all the bumps appear. You know, if there are too many bumps in the road, then maybe that's not the road you need to take.
Yeah. That makes sense. So, I mean, you've moved around a lot. I mean, you know, every time we talk, you're someplace new. Well, not quite, but you know, you move. You know,
42 countries, I think, so far.
Yeah, I mean, so what's the deal there? I mean, you know, how does that relate to what I was talking about?
Well, this kind of, again, it goes back to my childhood. I think I told you this story. I used to be in geography class, and my teacher would look up and she'd say, "Tell me about this country," and I'd be like, "No, one day I'll go there and I'll see it." And she'd say to me, "Well, with that attitude, you're not going to go anywhere." And I'd sit there staring at this map, this atlas, and I'd go, "I'm going to go everywhere.
Right.
I'm going to meet all those people, and I'm going to see," you know. And it was my childhood dream. You know, that was the dream, to just go around the world, meet people, and just make people happy. That was the ultimate dream. That was the only thing I really wanted to do as a child. And although I had no way of doing that as a child, you know, that I was brought up in a very, very, very small community in Sicily. My family were very anti me going anywhere. In fact, you know, the thing at the time was to just get married, have 2.2 children and stay at home.
Right.
And so I didn't see any way out, but I kept dreaming and dreaming and dreaming. And then a series of really, 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 really bad things happened to me. And I mean, one after the other, so from the age of about 9 to 18. And then that was at 18, it was the crunch. There were so many bad things that happened that I decided to leave home. And in fact, I didn't decide to leave home. I ran away from home. I mean, how can you run away from home at 18? But I did. As soon as I was 18, that was it. I was gone. I changed country.
So was that against, like, your parents' wishes and stuff?
Yeah, it was against everything. It's a very long story, but my parents are separated, so part of the bad things that I think now are the good things that happened to me were because of my stepmother. You know, we never saw eye to eye. But when I look back now at everything that happened, I think, wow, God, thank you, yeah. Because if she hadn't been the way she was, if things weren't as bad as they were, I would never have left. I would never have got on this journey to start traveling around the world. I would have just probably, you know, settled down, got married, had 2.2 kids, which is nothing wrong with that at all. It just wasn't my dream. So all the bad things that happened to me in my life were kind of like, yeah, get back on that road. And so I did, you know. That's how I came to be on this path. So
traveling for you is your calling. Now, are you traveling to try and so that one day you'll land in a country or a place and you'll be like, this is it, I'm finally home?
No, I have that in every country.
Really?
There is not one country I've been to that, well, actually, probably China, I didn't feel as comfortable in, but that was just me. It was, you know, I was living in Shanghai. It was a huge, huge city, very smoggy, very polluted, a culture shock, complete culture shock. I mean, you can't imagine anything close to, unless you've been to China, you cannot imagine what Chinese culture's like. And I found it both beautiful and fascinating as much as I did terrifying.
Right.
Every country I've been to, I've always felt like I'm home. In fact, somebody the other day, a few months ago when we had fires here in Spain, I was going to go and volunteer in the clear-up. And a Spanish man said to me, he said, why would you want to do that? He said, you're a foreigner. I said, well, because the land is mine as well. I said, I might be a foreigner, but I'm living on this land. Originally, this land did not have a name called Spain because it's all Mother Earth. But if I live in a particular place at the time and it needs help, then it's my duty to go and help it because it's the land. It's not the country, you know?
You told him all that?
Yeah, I did. And he looked at me dumbfounded.
What point did his eyes glaze over?
Yeah, he was completely dumbfounded. He was like, oh, okay.
Was he like, oh, God,
it's true, though.
Sorry I asked.
You know, but it's true, though, Gareth.
No, I mean, it is true. You're absolutely right.
When Earth was created, when the planet was created, there was no label saying this is America, this is Canada, this is Italy, this is, you know, Spain or Portugal. It was just land.
Right.
We all have an obligation to this land, no matter where we live. It's our home, you know?
No,
the planet is our home.
No, I was just making a joke. I mean, what you said to him was true, but I just imagine him being like, "Oh God, why did I say anything?"
Yeah, bless him.
But yeah. So you haven't found a place yet where, I mean, I'm assuming. I mean, you're in Spain now. You've been there for a few months. I mean, is that it? Are you done, or are you off to someplace else?
No, I'm not. I'm not done. Actually, while I'm here in Spain, my next thing is Spain is literally 45 minutes away from Morocco, from Africa. Yeah. So I'm already planning how I can go and visit Morocco.
Okay.
And just go and see the whole of Morocco, and I want to see a bit more of Spain.
Do you ever foresee a time where you're just going to be, okay, this is it, this is cool, I love it here, I'm not going anywhere?
No.
Really?
No. I'm not done. And I've always said, I said to my mum when she was here at Christmas, you know, if it wasn't for my little dog, that...
You'd be off.
Yeah, I would. I'd be in the Far East somewhere. I'd be off. I'd be volunteering either in Africa or in the Far East, but I'd be gone.
Wow.
Because these are the things that I feel that I don't want to blame my dog because that's really cruel because I love her to bits, but I am being held back a little bit by her. But then I think this is for a reason too, you know? There is a reason for this. Maybe I'm not meant to go at this moment in time.
Exactly.
And so maybe she's protecting me by being here, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do what I can. But Morocco is definitely on the cards because I can just drive over. So
the whole like kind of nomadic lifestyle, to me it's fascinating and it's exciting, but it's also kind of sad and disturbing at the same time.
God, no. Why would you say that?
Because, I mean, I can completely get my head around, you know what? I'm 20. For the next 10 years, I'm going to see the planet inside and out. I totally get that. But, like, when you get in your 30s and your 40s and your 50s, you still want to be, hopping around every 2 seconds?
Well, it's not really every 2 seconds, but do you know how many beautiful people I've met around the world?
I know, but
oh my God!
Imagine all the people you meet that are a big pain in the ass too.
Yeah, well, I've kind of been lucky in life. I really haven't met that many pain in the asses, but the amount of beautiful people I've met around the world that have just made my life so much richer. People say to me, "Oh, but you never got married. Haven't you got any kids? Oh, well, you've got no kids." And I'm like, "No, but I tell you what, I've got a whole monastery full of them in Nepal. 2 monasteries full, one of nuns and one of monks, and every little kid in there could be my kid." Wow. And I don't feel this. I know that this is going to sound very off the charts to a lot of people, but I don't feel the necessity of an exclusive relationship with one person, because I feel like I have a relationship with the whole planet. Right. And I think that the love that one person could give me is nothing compared to the love that I feel with the whole planet. Do you know what I mean?
So your fate is to roam the earth, meeting people, making friends, hanging out for a little while, and then taking off. Yeah?
I'm making them happy in the interim, I hope.
If you were if you were to do that, but also like solve mysteries at the same time, you'd be like Kane in Kung Fu.
I've never been compared to that before.
Like just wandering around and like, you stop at a town and there's some shit going down and you beat up someone and everyone, and you go on to the next town. And
oh, God, no. But I hope that I do spread a little bit of love. Don't beat the crap out of anybody, but yet.
Yet.
But I just think that, when you say that, when you put it that way, to a certain extent, I think my fate is to travel around the world and meet people and make beautiful friendships with people. And hopefully, I like to think that every place I've been has given me a little piece of its heart. Right. And I like to think that I've left a little bit, everywhere I've been.
Yeah. So what... we've described lots of scenarios in this show today, which do heavily tie into fate. In some ways, I'm very strongly leaning to the existence of fate in regard to how certain aspects of my life tie into this concept of fate. But then the logical, rational part of my brain says, well, that's nonsense, and so I'm battling it out, I guess, in my head as to which one is which. The feeling part of me, the emotional side of me, feels that fate is real, whereas the logical thinking side of me says that it's not true. Did you see what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. But then which side do you lean stronger towards, the left or the right?
Well, it fluctuates. I really do flip-flop a lot. Sometimes I really do feel, the intuitive, emotional side, and then other times more the rational, logical thinking side.
Okay, but why do you have to flip-flop? Why can't you just amalgamate the two and have the middle way? The middle way being that there is fate, but we have a certain input into that fate.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, there's lots of things in my life. Every day is a crossroads for you, right? Every day is I can do this or I can do this or not do that, or whatever the case may be. And we always kind of go the path of least resistance, right? We always kind of fall in that way because, I mean, at everyone's core, you want to stay away from hassle and BS, right? You want to keep away from that because it's a pain, dealing with that. Even though you say it is a learning experience, nobody willingly will go down that path. If pain and suffering is down a path, you're going to stay away from it, right? You're not willingly going to walk down the path where misery is waiting at the end saying, hey, come on in, right? You're gonna stay away. So, I don't know.
But do we actively know that there is going to be pain and misery and suffering down one particular road and not another? I mean, sometimes don't we just start walking,
sure,
don't we?
Sure. Sometimes we don't know. And other times we do know. There's certain things that I could do which would cause a lot of pain and suffering. There's certain things that I could do which would cause a lot of happiness and joy. So the path that says this is going to hurt a lot of people, including myself, I'm not going to do that. Now, something else, I guess we're rapidly approaching the end of the show, but something else we should touch on here is because of our genetic profile, our genetic preposition, and our personalities, people or intelligence agencies or computers can actually predict the paths that you would take and who you are, and actually predict your, fate to a high degree of accuracy.
That's scary.
But it's absolutely true. Your personality, they take all your personality traits, your genetic profile, you're more predisposed to get cancer or to live to this age or whatever the case may be, and they can feed it all into a machine and produce a very accurate profile of how you would react under certain situations, what you would do, and all that stuff. So that does, in a way, tie into the reality of fate, but in a different way, in a more concrete, rational, logical sense.
Yes, but that makes us, it's our predictability,
right,
based on those kind of facts, that makes us a...
Well, we are very, very predictable. Every day, and every day I get up, I take a shower, I get dressed, and I make a cup of coffee. Every day. Now, of course, one day I can say, you know what, I'm not going to do that. But 9 times out of 10, guess what? I'm going to do that. And you're the same. You have a routine that you follow in the morning, the routine that you follow throughout the day. Everyone is the same. So you're very, very predictable. And once you become predictable, then you can start mapping out the future. Or you can start, well, if because of the way this person reacts here, if I put them in this situation, there's a 98% probability that they will react this way. And guess what? That's what'll happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now we're moving into kind of like, not conspiracy territory, but we are moving into a bit...
it's behavioral science, and it's very, it's very, very accurate. So, throughout the beginning of the show, we've been talking about fate, and we've been talking about fate in regards to a kind of spiritual quest or a spiritual elements to fate, whereas there's a very prosaic, concrete, and materialistic view of fate also. You can actually put fate on a spreadsheet, and it will be very accurate.
That's very scary if you think about it, because that kind of information is now widely available very, very freely on the internet, because people put their lives on the internet.
Exactly.
And government agencies can use that in any which way they so please, very freely, because we've given them this power, which means that we actually give them the power to monopolize us, to have monopoly over us and use us. I don't know if you saw it. There was a video online not so long ago about a guy who was dressed as a Magi, or as a clairvoyant, in this tent in Holland, and he was inviting people in so he could read their future. And he was reading their future, but then behind this future, he started getting things into how much they spent, how much they had in their bank account, what they paid for rent, how much debt they had, and all these very intimate details about people. And when, this throughout the video, you see various people going in and being shocked by this information. And then all of a sudden they open the curtains and there are people behind the curtains working on the computer getting all your information. Everything is out there online.
Oh, sure, yeah. Absolutely.
And so, I think we're going back to fate and what we've just mentioned and what you mentioned. I think that nowadays, with government conspiracies and with new politics being brought into issues, a lot of people now, I think fate is being manipulated in the sense that people that might want to be self-employed are being deterred from being self-employed because governments around the world, especially in Europe, I don't know about the States, but in Europe, are now bringing in really, really heavy taxes, almost like fines, for people who are freelancing. Yeah. Because it seems that they don't want people to freelance. I read an article somewhere saying that in 2000 and something, there won't be enough people to provide a workforce. With the crisis, we're seeing more and more companies shut down. More and more businesses going out of business, and people who had jobs or callings or whatever they did that they may have enjoyed or loved or whatever are now being forced to take other paths because the options are no longer there as they were before. And I see I'm seeing two shifts here. I'm seeing a spiritual shift and I'm seeing a material shift. And I think that in this respect, there could be, and I'm only saying could be, a shift in how we will determine what fate is. Because people will no longer be allowed to walk the paths that they want to walk to a certain extent, because a lot of their decisions will be based on what is happening around them and the necessities of reality, if you like, or the reality that's going on at the time. So in that case, we have to, in a few years' time, we might come back and discuss this again and see how fate has shifted, or the concept of fate has shifted.
Well, fate is all, the concept of fate has existed for a very, very long time, but it's always been in the realms of spirituality. But maybe in the last 30 to 40 years, fate has become concrete. It's become solidified. It's become something that, like if I knew all the information about you as far as your psychological makeup, your personality, your DNA, everything, and I knew exactly how you ticked, which is not fantasy, I could basically, I could be a puppeteer and you would be the puppet, and I would pull a string and you would jump. You would do everything that I commanded you to do, and you wouldn't even know that you were being commanded to do it.
Isn't that what's happening now, slowly but surely?
Sure. Yeah, but once you know how a person ticks, and you have that knowledge, you can control them. Now, because this does exist, it really does bring into question the question of free will. And does free will even really exist, or are we pre-programmed to act a certain way?
I think we're manipulated into behaving a certain way. And I do believe that this at the moment is one of the current fights that we have in society. The fact that we have those who are fighting for the right to have free will and execute free will, and those who are trying to obviously completely rid human beings of free will.
Right. What you're saying, I agree with what you're saying, but what I meant by free will is, forget government conspiracy, government control. Forget that. Let's pretend that doesn't exist. If these things are real, and they are real, where you can predict everything a person would do under a certain situation, your free will is an illusion, because you're pre-programmed to act a certain way in a certain situation. I mean, if your actions can be predicted to a high degree of accuracy, where does free will come into it?
Yeah, but that's what I wasn't thinking of governments when I said what I said.
Sure.
I was thinking of marketing companies more than government. I was thinking of the media. I was thinking of, popular trends in music, fashion, magazines.
Which all use this, by the way.
Yes, absolutely. Because every time, for example, we know this, but every time we go online, a lot of listeners might not be aware of this. Every time you do something on the internet, that information is logged.
Yes.
So every time you pick out a pair of shoes that you like, every time you purchase something from Amazon or eBay or whatever, all that information is stored. So there are certain groups of people or companies or whatever who know exactly what you like, how you like it, when you're likely to buy it, how much disposable income you have. Right. I mean, these things about filling in surveys for X amount of money, all that is to get your personal information, build these marketing techniques all around everything that you've filled in. What you do in your spare time, where you go, how many times you go. These big corporations manipulate you into exercising what you think is your free will, okay, to choose your next holiday. You might fancy going to Seychelles, but then when you log in, the page will open out automatically with a beautiful picture of Thailand that knows exactly how much you like to spend, what kind of green areas you like, or what kind of, environment you like to be in, what kind of hotel you preferably like to stay in, or guest house, or whatever your preference is, and it picks this and it comes up and it says, our recommendation for you. And you think, wow, how did they know that I'd love that? Well, of course they do. They've got all your information. So you then change your mind. Instead of going to the Seychelles, you're going to go to Thailand, because you've been manipulated into thinking this based on your personal information that they've tracked and got hold of.
Right. So with this information, it does call into question the reality of a spiritual fate. If you can be dissected so accurately, where they can run your personality, your likes, your dislikes, and then add that to your biological stuff, your DNA, what you're 98% chance of by the time you're 70 getting cancer or whatever, and being very, very accurate, not just, maybe, perhaps, no, absolutely, and being very accurate 99% of the time. How does that play into, it's fate?
Well, actually, it was something that just sprang to mind, and it might be a little bit unrelated, but it is related, is China. China, as you know, is controlling Tibet. Tibet is known as one of the most spiritual places on earth because of Buddhism. And the Chinese have actually cottoned on to the fact that Tibet is a huge tourist destination. So what they've done is they've practically taken over the market for all the tours in Tibet. And what you were saying about the spiritual aspect of fate and free will to choose and things, maybe even on a spiritual level, interiorly, inside ourselves, individually, if our spiritual belief or our spiritual interior is strong enough, no, it can't be manipulated. But if we let our emotions get in the way, so I really want to go to Tibet. Oh, but the only way I can get there is through a Chinese travel agent. I'm going to go with the Chinese travel agent because my calling is to go to the spiritual place that is Tibet, even though I would prefer not to go through a Chinese agency.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what they're doing is I think we're crossing the line here between the spiritual and the commercial, maybe, the merchandising, because all they're doing is they're commercializing it, aren't they?
You're absolutely right. I mean, what I'm describing here is huge as far as commercialization and marketing. There's no question. Once they know how you tick, they can sell you exactly what you want, and the chances of you buying it are very, very high, right? Because they're pinned before all this. They would show you an advertisement. Maybe you're into it, maybe you're not. It's luck of the draw, right? Now they can pinpoint with laser accuracy and show you stuff that you're naturally going to gravitate towards. Like, look, oh my gosh, look at this. Whereas before, they might have shown you something and been like, oh, that's no use to me. Click, next, right? So yeah, there is a massive commercial element here, but there's also more. It's more than that. It's more than that.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's very emotional. I think it plays as well on senses of guilt. I think as human beings, we're very emotional creatures, aren't we? We're either happy, we're either or sad, or feeling guilty, or very forgiving, or we've always got something going on, haven't we?
Yeah.
And I think that is what they play on, or what big corporations and marketing companies play on the most. If they can, once like you said, they know how we tick, they know what we like. What they do is they then play on our emotions. Mm-hmm. Well, even the spiritual emotions, sure. Because you're not holy unless you do a pilgrimage.
Right.
But the Catholics have been doing that for centuries.
Because they know how we tick, it's like dangling the carrot in front of the donkey. You can pull the carrot, you can lead the donkey anywhere you want to go, and he's going to follow. And it's the same with us. They can dangle the proverbial carrot in front of your face and lead you anywhere, and you're going to go because they know exactly what's going to get you.
But I think I think to counteract that, I think the only way to counteract that is to have very, very strong personal opinions and personal beliefs and personal a strong inner spiritual sense of what life should be, is how you want it to be.
But they know that. They know that already. They know that. So they're going to use that. Right?
Yeah, but what I was trying to say was to not get sucked into that. The only thing we can do is become more single-minded, more individually minded, stronger.
So what you're saying is, and maybe I'm wrong here, but is the only way to fight this kind of manipulation is to go against your intuition, go against your calling, go against your natural flow of things.
No, I don't think that. No, absolutely not. No.
Because they're
what I'm saying is, intuition is completely different. How can anybody know what your intuition is going to be?
Oh, no. They can know. They can absolutely know. All they got to do is look at your past. Oh, let's see. Oh, look what she's attracted to. Look what's drawing her towards. Oh, okay, I see. So let's do a little experiment here. Let's offer her this, and there she goes. Look, there we are. She's going straight for it. Okay, now let's try. Oh, there she goes again. Oh, guess what? We figured it out. Boom.
I think even human beings can be unpredictable at times. It doesn't work 100%.
Oh, yeah, you can't, absolutely, no question. But It's definitely less. If you say 100% predictable, it's less than 1% that you're going to be unpredictable. You know, they got it nailed down. So what I'm basically saying is that is if fate can be determined on a spreadsheet to a high degree of accuracy, does spiritual fate even exist?
Well, I don't know if spiritual fate was ever really a question, was it? I think we all have a spiritual blueprint. It's there when we're born. So is it really a fate, or is it just something that is? Mm-hmm. That could be a big question, you know? Sure. Rather than, is there a spiritual fate? Yeah, I would say it's just something that is. That's it. It is. But whether we have, maybe some people do, you know, the people that really have this strong tendency, you know, to become a priest, for example, a person that becomes a priest, or a person who's on the path to enlightenment in Buddhism. You know, they study all their lives and they dedicate, 12, 15 hours a day to it. Right. Maybe that's a spiritual fate, but is it really a spiritual fate or just their calling that we were saying earlier? But anyway, I think that we should leave those questions open-ended.
Yeah,
I think that our listeners should give their opinions and answers to those questions.
So this show, it's primarily been about fate, but we have jumped all over the place a little bit. But I think it's been very informative. We've asked a lot of questions that we don't have answers to, but they're still valid questions, and we should keep asking them. And I hope the listeners have enjoyed this kind of labyrinth kind of look at fate and its different kind of angles.
Absolutely. And, we'd like to say thank you very much to all the listeners out there, and thank you for following us. And like I said earlier, thank you for commenting and leaving your thoughts and opinions. They're very valuable, and we do appreciate them, don't we, Gareth?
Oh, absolutely.
Gareth, thank you very much for joining me. And everyone out there, take care, and until next time, be safe.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.